ask you about Canada's efforts in trying to get Paul Whelan freed in Russia? What can you tell us about that?
Sure. I'm following the file pretty closely, especially since the death of Navalny. And this is it's a somewhat complicated case because we're working very closely with the Americans. We recognize his Irish citizenship as well. So there are three countries involved. I understand, and I have not had this confirmed, but I understand that our ambassador was to meet with him at some point this week. We'll continue to put pressure on, but we continue to be worried. Anything that the Putin regime does that threatens a Canadian citizen is something of concern to us.
So you're not sure if that meeting has happened?
I have not. I heard about it, but I can't confirm it. But we could get back to you and confirm whether or not it's happened. Okay. It was not a file I had this week, but I know that there has been talk about it.
Okay, and one other question: what's Canada doing to help Sudan right now?
In Sudan, this is a crisis that continues. It's horrendous. It's a humanitarian crisis with both internally displaced persons as well as, obviously, refugees. The civil war continues. So we're engaging with a number of regional partners to try to have conversations. Our embassy staff is obviously working remotely because of the compromised situation in our embassy. But the conversations have continued. You know, the minister was there very early on in the conflict, not in Sudan, but in Kenya to foster conversations. I note that we have two other ministers extremely involved. One is humanitarian, so the development minister, as well as the Minister of Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship. So we have three ministers who are engaged in it. The political conversations have to, we believe that African problems, African challenges require African solutions. So our job will always be to support the African Union in its, and also the regional economic community to have the best approach.
The U.S. is supporting with $18 million. Is Canada committing anything?
You'd have to ask the development minister what they're planning on doing. I saw that note, and I'm very glad the Americans have stepped up. So you'd have to ask our development minister. It's obviously on our mind.
Okay, thank you.
What I was most concerned about in terms of Monday's motion was the reinstatement of UNRWA funding. UNRWA funding has clearly been shown to have been infiltrated by Hamas. 1 in 6 of their employees have been shown to actually be members of a terrorist organization. 1 in 9 of their infrastructure has actually had terror infrastructure. So it is immensely alarming that this government has not waited for the end of the UN investigation, as they had previously said, and instead had decided to reinstate funding, despite the fact that the investigation is still ongoing, the final report has not yet been launched, and now are likely funding terrorism with Canadian taxpayer dollars.
Can I ask, because Balbray did say he read their interim report, and we tried asking him, well, what's in it? And he said it neither exonerates or provides conclusive evidence that those 12 suspected employees were actually guilty of taking part in the October 7th attack. What do you think of the fact, I guess, that they won't tell us what's exactly in the report, whether that's the government or the UN?
So the Minister of International Development said on February 1st that they would wait until the conclusion of the UN investigation. It has not yet concluded. The final report is not published till April 20th. So what do they have? Does the Canadian government have access to more information that no one else does? Furthermore, on March 8th, on the Friday afternoon that they decided to reinstate funding, in that morning, they were given a briefing with additional information, things that laid out very clearly the fact that Hamas is an integral part of UNRWA. And in spite of knowing all of that information, they still decided to reinstate funding. That is unacceptable, and it's an abrogation of their duty to safeguard Canadian taxpayer dollars and ensure that our money does not go towards funding terrorism. It's shameful, it's disgraceful, and they should be absolutely apologizing to Canadians. Thank you very much.